session day 3. I know we're reaching that point very fast. But so we had a great discussion earlier, first half of the day, on interdisciplinarity. What does it mean? How do you practice interdisciplinarity? The challenges and crises also that emerge therein. And particularly for these sorts of thematics or arenas that are at the frontier, we're moving to another sort of frontier, that is in terms of technologies of education. Technologies that can be perhaps posed, at least as they are in terms of the description for this session, as solutions to certain sorts of pedagogical challenges. Now, there are, of course, various challenges that we face, not just in the classroom, but of course in the Indian context, in terms of access to education. So I think those sorts of questions, those questions have to also be taken up in terms when we speak of technology. Perhaps it enables access, while it also disables on other lines of inequalities. What we know less about, however, and ours is a new university, just to the visitors, and yet there is very little, there is a lot of experimentation in terms of classroom and courses and programs, but there's very little in terms of technologies, apart from the basic, overhead project, the classroom projection and so on. But it is an arena where there is so much going on. So I'm really glad that we have participants from, well, first Dr. Rajendran Murugan from the Central Institute of Education in the University of Delhi, and then Mr. Amitabh Maitra, who's head of learning at OKS Education Private Limited. And what I'll do after you've spoken is just also give a snapshot of my own experience once of teaching an online course. But we will come to that when we get there. So please, Dr. Murugan, if you'd like to begin.
Thank you. First of all, I wish to confess that I'm new to the interdisciplinary. It was quite interesting to me when I listened Suresh and my senior on understanding the challenges of interdisciplinary from a perspective of a teacher who engages with that interdisciplinary subjects. As far as my engagement with the student is, it's not how to engaging with the content, more of how to use technology for classroom use. So I see that use of the technology not along with this subject. Instead, it is an independent of the subject. So technology generally, it was a very strong observation. Technology it is oversold as a vehicle of pedagogical transformation, but underutilized instructional tool. This is a strong criticism, and there is a lot of research evidence supporting this. That one we need to accept that part. And it also said it also we need to see that technology cannot improve the poor pedagogy. Instead, it will help in providing quality learning through a better pedagogy. So while getting to this invitation, I was a little bit initially. Immediately I said okay. Then later, while looking into that, I was little bit nervous. Oh, I caught really. So I was just thinking how to because more of our discussions in technology domain, it's how to integrate technology, how to address the challenges in integrating technology with the education, not about how to the challenges of pedagogy, how to address the challenges of pedagogy through technology. So it was a newer way of looking at the technology. So I was just thinking of whether instead of where to pitch in, whether to start with the pedagogical challenges or what is the technology solutions which provides technology provides to the pedagogy, or how it enhances the quality, which one of the line I could see it from the it emphasis on enhancing quality and the access of higher education. That was the focus for this workshop. So I was just looking into the pedagogical changes happened over a period of time, especially last 2 decades. The first one is that the classroom interaction moved from the teacher centric to the student centric, theoretically. And then second one is the focus, shifting the focus from the emphasis on teaching to the emphasis on learning and learner ownership. This is one of the important problem I see it with even when the morning discussion also. The ownership of the learner will be a very crucial point in interdisciplinary to become successful pedagogical, to become successful interaction. And then the other changes which is also based on the teaching to learning is the move from the theoretical understanding from behaviorist to cognitivist pedagogy to the constructivist understanding, and then decontextualized to contextualized to problems, and personal construction of knowledge to social construction of knowledge. It is not the teacher who transmit the knowledge where the students learn. Instead, the learners interacts and then understands and constructs their own understanding on a particular concept. So the another move is the presenting the content in a more linear fashion to the interaction, more problem centered, which is there where I could see the interdisciplinary getting a very important role. So in the similar period, the technology also changed. So we could see that Web 1.0 technology to Web 2 technology, and then some sort of now we see the Web 3 technology. So the Web 1 technology is a more of a readable. The user is a consumer, whereas the Web 2 gives the space for an interaction, and it is a user is a writer. It's not only a consumer, he is also becoming a creator of knowledge. And then Web 3 is something, it's a semantic level. The web itself thinks like a human being, human intelligence. It sees it executes actually. It interprets the information like human and intelligently generate and distribute the useful content tailored to the needs of the user. So what then, if you observe, Google, I see it, Google started this certain extent. The kind of search you keep on your search, gradually you will find the kind of information you will get that Web 3 is some sort of a starting point. You could see it in the web search. So you are looking for a particular information consistently for quite some period of time. You will find that the information you will get for your search relate to that. So the another change we could see is the delivery platform. When the introducing aapka naam I do not know. Rohitji had started with and the more of a projector to how to move the classroom interaction from just projector. So the platform becoming once upon a time desktop to laptop, tablet, now mobile, smartphones. So that changes one. So that the access as a varied formats is available. Varied formats both in terms of the instrument as well as the format in the kind of, whether it is a PDF file or a Word file or a HTML based one. And then the issue, it is not the issue of lack of information now. The problem is the information overload. So how to process the information? That is the important problem in front of education today. And then greater communication. So it's not both synchronous and asynchronous come into play now. So one can have a chat, one can have a video conferencing, web conferencing to interact. It's not the teacher and student to stay together or getting the expert's opinion from varied places is possible. And then pedagogical improvements, it started when behavioristic and cognitivist to the constructivist, the drill and practice tutorial. That stage to be moved to the simulation, virtual experience, gamification, and graphic representation, and especially when we're coming into the interdisciplinary subjects, the collaborative writing, collaborative interaction, collaborative engagement. And then learning is a technology is seen to aid the learning that pace and mode. Now we are technology is a learning space where we can express our understanding, and that is where we learn. That is where our learning space. So what are the general challenges in Indian context is one is the access. So when we the solution, technological solutions, the technology enabled solution for pedagogical challenges, in Indian context we have a lot of difficulty. Still access of technology is itself a problematic, even in the higher education institutions. The resources availability in terms of the particular language. India has a very different languages, and human resources who train the learner to engage their learning through their technology. So the capacity building of the teachers is it may be at the school level as well as the higher education is the same. So still have a difficulty in access and having the resources at the institutional level. We have a problem. So then the quality of learning experience, how we provide that learning experience to the learner at whichever their level, what kind of technology we are using, that still is an issue. So then I thought of I'm telling an ABCD to the PhD people, something like that. I'm talking about the interdisciplinarity of education. So interdisciplinarity refers to the process used to study the complex problem or issue or question, not end up with the question or problem itself. So, and it forms, the interdisciplinarity forms a own community of experts from various disciplines to address a particular type of a problem. It depends on the discipline for the source material or the kind of methodology used. It's not this particular methodology, depending upon the problem requirement or the issue requirement. The interdisciplinarity takes the particular method of approach to the from various discipline. It's nothing to any specific discipline. Then what are the pedagogical challenges? This is what a problem when I faced. What when it comes for the pedagogical, what kind of a technology-enabled solutions for the pedagogical challenges? I thought of what exactly it is. So I thought of this. I kept it open. I had a very few, because giving in the interdisciplinarity gives certain kind of an understanding. Being a disciplinary is teaching a particular discipline is a complex phenomena. Teaching an interdisciplinary subject is more complex. So the issue-based or problem-based discipline will give a more complex. It gives a complex situation where one a particular discipline cannot address. And then teacher-centric method to address the interdisciplinary approach will be a little bit difficult, because that's only the morning discussion also says the resistance from the learner in engaging the interdisciplinary class. It's because the teacher also from a particular discipline that also have some sort of an issue, or the learners from varied discipline also have their understanding on other disciplines will have a limitation, where teacher may or may not be able to address their requirement. And interdisciplinary requires more time. Any issues addressed in the interdisciplinary classroom because more time to understand the issue itself. So the pedagogy requires the classroom time becoming an impediment in the interdisciplinary class to make the learner to understand. So availability of the learning resources for interdisciplinary classroom, because the issue is it is a very thematic, having a components of varied disciplines, and understanding those giving input to those different disciplinary concepts will be a little bit difficult task in a normal traditional classroom situation. So one of the observation I could see the difficulty in zooming out as a learner to see what is the structure what is at the end of it I'm getting from that my engagement with the interdisciplinary course. So that also a challenge. And Sureshji made an observation, interdisciplinary landscape, a difficult terrain. It's actually a difficult terrain for the teacher, and one need to be deeply convinced on one's own discipline, have a difficulty in engaging with interdisciplinary subject. And one more beautiful idea I listened is that it is difficulty in distill the essence behind the complexity. So that's the learner engages, the learner experiences. And it also requires no fixed plan of teaching. So it's really required where to pitch in at the end of the where to pitch in. That's a very crucial part. So pedagogy, what kind of pedagogy required for the interdisciplinary? So what kind of a structure, knowledge structure is there? Whether it's a more of a interconnectedness, and the knowledge representation are dynamic in nature and constantly evolving through the discussion among the participant and changing and subject to infinite juxtapositions. So different disciplines and come and look into the same problem and give the varied interpretation and varied understanding. That is possible. So what is the learners area? The learners coming as a learning community who are having a similar or same objective of learning agenda, working together on a project, learning from one another as well as from their environment, and engaging the collective socio-cultural experiences. That's a very crucial point. And what is where exactly the technology can help, and what kind of pedagogy? I see it, the problem-based learning or project-based learning could be a better beginning for the interdisciplinary subject. But there is also the classroom experience. What kind of a classroom experience? I was looking into the what kind of classroom experience will provide the space for the complexity involved in interdisciplinary themes. So one is the flipped classroom can help. So may help because there is in education the first principle we learn is there is nothing like a single the method. So it is with the teacher who engages with the learner. They know what is to be adopted, what not to be adopted in a particular classroom context. However, the complexity of the interdisciplinary subject, looking into the complexity of the interdisciplinary subject, flipped classroom may be a better solution where the teacher's lectures can be pre-recorded and given to the students before classroom. So they will listen the lecture. They will observe watch the lecture, and some relevant material also shared with the students, and then some websites related to the particular theme is shared with them, and simulative experience and reading material given to them before coming into the classroom. After watching the teacher's lecture and reading the material, they will have the questions. The learner will have the question. Those questions they can raise, and then it is the peer interaction is one of the strongest point I could see, is because the students from various discipline can respond to their strong points to the others. So in the form of they can create their own videos, podcast, and then share it with the others to respond to the particular queries of their peers, or blogging, writing their understanding on a particular problem or the theme. Reflective podcast. It's not just a podcast of one's own responding. It's a reflective one's own understanding on the content on the theme on which they are going to engage. Then coming to the classroom and then having an interaction, and then arriving at a smaller projects of an individual depending upon their interest and then their understanding. Maybe a group project or maybe an individual project. So then that if it leads to this kind of a flipped classroom setup, will have a some sort of a understand, they can develop an understanding how to engage with the interdisciplinary classroom. uh, but one of the problem I could see it in my own experience is the interdisciplinarity or the flipped or constructivist based classrooms. You really require students ownership on learning. This is really a problem, really a problem. I'm experienced personally. This is a problem. Students do not see it. It is there. They have till +2. They have, or the graduation. They had somebody is teaching. They are listening and they are getting their notes and then reading and writing the examination and coming to the next level. They do not find it. They have to take that ownership of learning, which to understand that particular domain. So they expect the teacher has to give everything. So if that is the case, then there is a problem. Then there is a problem. The ownership of the learner is very, very important. So what other benefit the technology can give us? It is everywhere technology people used to tell the flexibility of learning in terms of pace, place, and mode. Whether the learner can learn as and when they find time, and they can learn anywhere in the metro. They can use their mobile and then read the content or the post whatever the teachers. And then mode, it may be a blended mode, face to face. The interdisciplinary, I think the flipped classroom gives that blended kind of an interaction, so one can have face to face as well as online. So both the perspective is there. I also seen that in a massive access Indian context, you have to give we have to give access to the higher education to many through formal or informal institution, informal way. If the MOOC is one of the way out, I could see it. However, when we look into the how people participate in MOOC courses, the structure is like this. So they will have announcement, and then what is the course about, and then the video lectures for each course, each week video lecture, followed by some readings and followed by certain assessment questions you need to address. You need in terms of multiple choice questions or a short answer type. And then more of the assessment done by the web forum. You will have the one can go and write their one's own understanding, one's own queries to in the web, and others can respond it. And the shared discussion space where very light moderation is available in the MOOC, because as the number of people participating in MOOC courses are large, so and then you will get the badges or certificates depending upon the thing. But this doesn't ensure that understanding of the learner. If you look at the MOOC course, at the end of it, it is also personal construction of a knowledge. It's not a socially constructed form of knowledge. So there is two types of MOOCs. One could find XMOOC and CMOOC. XMOOC is generally known. Whatever the structure I explained, that is the XMOOC. Whereas the CMOOC is something like it's not, the content is not given in advance. You will begin with a loosely supported range of social media, something like microblogging, Twitter, blogs, social networks, web conferencing, wikis, and other LMS, Moodle, and other things, where on a particular issue, individual participant go and write and their reflections and their understandings, and other participants come and interact there. Your participant-driven content, not the teacher or a person who organizes the course-driven content. And distributed communication, here it is the work, it's not very well organized in the CMOOC. Each participant will write their own wikis, blog posts or tweets. So the material is somewhere it is spread over in the web. So getting a structure is a little difficult. However, how other participant looking into the particular dimension, how they look into, how they discuss on those aspects by looking into it will be, if you are engaging in the MOOC and other things, we could able to observe that after 1 or 2 days or a week, we could able who are the serious participant and who are not non-serious participant, and from there one could able to locate um, the kind of understanding goes on a particular course. And some of them here is the point. Some of the technology things which are classroom purpose which we can use is, which I am trying it out. I have a lot of trouble too. Blogs, where the student blogs and wiki space, the mixed of blog and wiki space. Wiki space works as a LCMS and blog, giving a particular theme, and the students discuss on a particular theme, and then they write it in a wiki space, and the other peers come and interact there, and then they can modify the content or raise the question on that. So or their comment they can make it in their post. So kind of this can be a loosely structured classroom we could able to begin with. So gradually we could able to see there are different type of tools available. In a sense, if you at all we start with an issue, and then if you require to make a podcast, you can work with movie making softwares, and then make it for 5 minutes, and then put it in your upload it in YouTube, and then link it with your blog. So that this space is one of the difficult point one could find it. Or using something what are the kind of reading material one goes through. So one could use the a delicious kind of a it's not a software, it's a web browser based accounts, where uh, you can keep your references details there, so you can share it with others, so others can also come, and what are the resources one can what one reads to make that particular understanding. Because if whatever we write it, if it may not be comprehensive, on particular issue based we may be writing, one wanted to go to the original source, one can go from that from the delicious and find out what others reading, what are the basic readings they are doing it. From there one could able to understand and make their one's own observations. So interdisciplinary classroom, some sort of a it really required some sort of a I see it, blended learning could be a viable choice a teacher can exercise to make the classroom interesting. Thank you.